Okay, let's get this started. First off, hello everyone. I am sorry that the past couple of weeks I have missed getting to my videos. Um, Lots of family happenings, and as I'm moving camera here, whew, lots of family happenings, and Thanksgiving and everything going on. Just kind of found myself with a lack of time. However, don't worry, I have still been playing piano. So that has not stopped through all of this. So don't worry about me missing out on my growth here. I just haven't been able to get my growth recorded, and I apologize for that. So hopefully you'll forgive me, and we can just kind of jump into everything that's been going on. I'm going to try to follow kind of the same format I've been doing, starting with weekly drills and warm-ups that I've been doing. And if you hear my kid crying in the background, I apologize for that too. As far as drills go, I'm not really going to talk too much about this. It's a lot of the same, right? Still doing scales, still doing, my basic hand independence exercises and stuff like that. Getting a lot more efficient at it and having a lot more fun with it. But like I said, it's a lot of the same. I'm not going to go crazy into covering that right now. I will say that I've started moving the scales up and doing it with my left hand and doing it with both hands and getting a lot more comfortable with that. Still not great at it just yet, but I'm getting there. And one of the reasons why I'm wanting to cut the drill section a little slower is to cover something else that I've been doing. I've been spending a little bit more time on chords, right? And the reason I'm bringing that up and the reason that I had talked about working with the scales earlier is because that's why I've been spending more time with the scales, is to figure out how chords are working. I talked about in a video before how it was crazy to me when I was learning to build chords, how, C major 7 is literally just adding the 7th note to the chord, right? So I've been diving a lot deeper into that. And I've talked about inversions before as well, but trying to get more comfortable with those and just working through all of that. And it's been a lot of fun. And one of the reasons I've been doing this is because I'm trying to learn worship songs that we do at church and stuff, just to kind of push myself in that direction. As some of you may know, if you watched my first video on this series, one of the reasons that I picked up piano was to start getting more comfortable with music and reignite my passion for music because of some stuff that happened last year. Last year, right? Yeah, last year. Time is such a weird concept. But last year when I tried to join the praise team and found out that I had lost myself, and using piano to get back into that, and so what better way to do that than to learn worship music, right? So that said, I have kind of taken a step back from learning Moonlight. Didn't get that done by Thanksgiving like I had originally intended, but that's because I've been working on other things. And those things have been actually helping with the other songs and picking out patterns and stuff as well. So one of the big ones that I've worked on, I'd say I've been working on this one for about a week. There's a song called Living Hope that we do at church. And that's one that I've been working on quite a bit over the past week. Originally learned it in the key of C, which that's another thing I've been doing, is trying to take these songs and look at them in different keys and see how they all kind of flow together. And it's taught me a lot, so I'm just going to kind of talk through. I'm going to play some notes here on the piano. Hopefully the delay between the video, the audio, shut up headphones, the video, the audio, and the piano playing isn't too bad. But so Living Hope, started learning it in the key of C because for anybody who plays piano, you probably know that the key of C is really easy because it's mainly or pretty much all white notes. You don't have to get crazy with figuring out any of the sharps or minors. It's all just right here on the bottom row of keys. So it makes it easier. And as I started learning to play this, I knew kind of how to build chords. And so I ended up finding out that this song, it starts off with C, and then it goes to G, and then it goes to F, A minor, back to G, just like that. And it was easy to understand that. The problem is it's all jumpy over the keyboard, right? So, how great the chasm that lay between us, how high the mountain I could not climb. All over the place, and although I'm playing the right chords, and this will make a little bit more sense here in a second, the notes, the chords just didn't sound related enough to me. And like I said, that'll make more sense here in a minute. And that's where I started working a little bit more with inversions. So for example, we've got our C major here, and I keep that the same the entire time. But instead of going from here all the way up to this G, right, that sounds a little bit disconnected, I started playing with inversions. So this G note here, I'm still going to end up playing. But the B and the D, I'm actually going to bring down an octave to the other side here. Right? And if I put those together, instead of sounding like this, it's going to sound like this. Right? And that sounds a little bit more related. You'll notice my hand is not moving where it's at. I'm just placing fingers, moving fingers around. My hand and my wrist aren't really moving very much, as opposed to having to jump my hand all the way up here, right? And so instead of sounding like, how great the chasm that lay between us, how high the mountain I could not climb, and the piano sounding a little bit disconnected, it's how great the chasm that lay between us, how high the mountain I could not climb. And so you can tell that sounds a little bit more brought together. All the notes and chords sound just a little bit more related on everything. And it was really fun just kind of picking that apart and figuring out how it worked. And then doing the same thing in the key of D. So, how great the chasm. And then that jumps to an A that lay between us. You can hear that sounds really disconnected again. So instead, take those top two notes, bring them down. And now it's, how great the chasm that lay between us. Boom. Brings it all together, makes it a little bit more related. So I've been doing a lot of work with that, is my point here. And bringing in the left hand as well, so playing it in C, right? Instead of just having the notes up here, we can have, how great the chasm that lay between us, how high the mountain I could not climb. Right? And so just filling out that low end a little bit more. And it's been a whole lot of fun working all of that out. There's a couple other songs I've been working on as well, but this is the one I probably spent the most time on over the past week and a half, 2 weeks. And just picking all that out, being able to sing along is fun as well. I've also been working on some other songs. Actually, the first song that I learned, the first ballad, quote unquote, we'll say, that I sang along with, we'll see if you guys can pick up on it. Scientist, Coldplay. Yeah, been working on that one as well. It's actually the first one that I started working on. I've got it down enough to where I can play chords and sing with it. There's some certain fills and other different things in that song that I haven't quite learned yet, but I know enough to be able to play and sing along. So that was really fun as well. And yeah, it's made me a lot more comfortable working on the keyboard, um, picking out notes, understanding how things get put together, and it's just been a blast all around. So I've spent a lot of time on this. Gonna move on to the next thing here. You guys know, obviously, after that long thing, know what I've been working on the past couple of weeks. Um, as far as the drills go, same drills. Struggles. I'm struggling a little less with speed as my hands and my body just get used to what they need to do for those drills. So that's not as much of an issue. Tenseness, still having to work on that a little bit. Make sure I step back, take a breath, loosen up. So a lot of the same there, to be honest. As far as musical learning goes, as I just said, I've been working a lot with building chords, figuring out inversions, learning how to do key changes. I was even working on a song today where I kind of worked some key changes in on my own, just trying to figure it out. And hopefully we'll get more proficient with that as time goes on, because I feel like being able to change keys on the spot is really nice. And I think that's going to really come with really getting familiar with those scales and the chords that are built within those scales, and being able to quickly switch my brain between those different keys. So that's a lot of what I'm working on right now, and it's a lot of fun. High point and low point of the week. As far as low points go, I can't really think of much. I guess missing a couple of videos these past couple weeks, that's been kind of the low point. Not having time to get this done. But, I mean, there hasn't really been, as far as musically speaking, a low point recently. High points, though, there's been a couple. And one of which was during the week, my family was here for Thanksgiving, and I was just kind of in my room hanging out with my brother. He had a game that he bought and wanted to paint one of the figures a little bit, and so I brought him in here. I've got my paint station right there underneath the camera, and he was painting up a figure, and we were kind of listening to some worship music as we were getting some stuff painted up, and I was sitting on my keyboard, and I was able to just kind of get in and pick out notes that were being played, like basic notes, and then start building chords that were being played and determine what key the song was being played in. And that was exhilarating to me, being able to pick apart music that way. I had a lot of fun with that. That was one high point. And the other one was actually today at church. They actually played Living Hope at church, and I noticed that they were playing it in a different key than they normally did. Really noticed it once I started trying to sing along, but I was able to pick up on that actually before the singing even started. Just hearing the chords being played, and like, that's in a different key. And I actually went up afterwards and talked to one of the music ministers and was like, hey, did you guys play that in a different key than you normally do today? And he was like, yeah, actually we did. And I was like, was it in D, I think it was? And he was like, yeah. And I was like, do you normally play it in C? He was like, well, we have before, but we've also played it in like B and, E flat and all over the place. And just was able to sit there and kind of talk music with him for a second. And it was really exciting to be able to do that. I've never had that moment before. So that was a lot of fun, being able to do that. And I really enjoyed it. But yeah, those were the high points. As far as the songs I've been working on, there's a lot, and I'm not going to cover all of them, but the ones that I've had in prior videos, River Flows in You, Moonlight Sonata, the first movement, haven't really worked on River Flows in You at all, to be honest. Moonlight Sonata, haven't progressed any further than I did. Well, I've gone a little bit further than I did in my last Moonlight video, a little bit, but not much. I had said that I wanted to try to learn it by Thanksgiving, but that ended up not happening because I started working on other things, which to me, I think that's okay. That, I don't want to say commitment, but kind of commitment was a push me further into piano, and that was accomplished elsewhere, and I'm fine with that. I'm not upset about it at all. I am cleaning up Moonlight, what I know of it so far, before I move on. And the stuff that I've been working on, is actually helping me with that, being able to recognize patterns. So, for example, there's the kind of runs in the middle that happen, like. So stuff like that. I was actually watching videos and picking each note, right? So I would say, okay, so I have to play this D sharp and come down to a C, and then, nope, there it is. Play the F sharp, right? And then come and play the A and go to the D sharp, and I was picking those individual notes out. And man, it was hard to really move along the keyboard like that. And instead, now that I've been messing with chords and picking out patterns, it helped me see that pattern. So instead of knowing I have to hit each of those individual notes, I pick up on the pattern. So this is where the pattern kind of starts, going from the C to the F sharp, and then the A to the D sharp, right? I've got this, 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 this. There it is. So that makes it a little bit easier for me to understand where I'm supposed to go. So now I can, and it's made those transitions feel a little bit more fluid. I think I could do a little bit of work on my hand positioning and which fingers I'm using for each note, but the point is, working on what I've been working on has made that feel more fluid. So a lot of good stuff out of that. So I'm not, like I said, I'm not upset about not finishing Moonlight right now, because it's what I've been working on, I feel like, is making me a better musician. So to wrap this up here, the questions I ask myself every time I do this video, there's two of them. Do I love music, and what are my plans for the next week? So the first one, do I love music? More than I ever have before. And it brings me really great joy to know that. And I find myself listening to music and not just picking out lyrics and thinking, oh, this song sounds really nice, and keeping it at a basic level. I find myself really listening and picking apart songs and how they're put together and what kind of sounds and emotions they're evoking. And it's a lot of fun. I'm part of a kind of public speaking program at my work, and the speech that I'm going to do this week is actually going to involve a little bit of music theory breakdown, and I'm really excited to nerd out about that in my speech. So it should be a lot of fun. Yes, I love music, and I am gaining a deeper understanding and a deeper love of it now than I ever have before in my 31 years of being on this planet. So goal one accomplished and still going. And another one, my confidence, it's coming back. It really is. The more I understand, the more I feel confident in what I'm doing. And so I don't feel like I'm as anxious with my music around people like I have been for the past several years. And that's a really nice feeling as well. What are my plans for the next week? Kind of a lot of the same. I'm still going to keep working on the songs that I've got, maybe throw in a couple new ones, get more comfortable with these chord progressions and patterns on the keyboard, keep working on, learning the scales, both hands, being able to kind of work those key changes into my head, and see where it goes from there. So, well, I've taken up enough of y'all's time with this video this week. I appreciate you guys, and it's time for me to go eat anyway, so you guys got to hear that in the video. Cool. But yeah, I appreciate you guys giving me your time, as always, and your support, and I will see you again next week.